An animal that moves actively through the world needs a self-model.
Charlie likes to hunt, and when he hunts, his brain runs a 3D model of his own body moving through his environment. Modeling itself in its world helps an animal achieve its goals in the Darwinian struggle while staying out of trouble. So if Charlie's in hot pursuit of a mouse, and the mouse runs under a log, Charlie's brain tells him that his body won't fit into the space between the log and the ground, and he puts on the brakes. His brain makes this calculation in advance so that he doesn't have to learn by trial and error. The mouse's brain made a similar calculation and told it it would fit under the log. Life or death hangs on getting these things right. The self-models of most animals occupy a narrow region of space-time, with the animal at the center. Occupying this specious present are things the animal can now see, hear, and smell, together with what it has recently perceived and still believes to be present. The mouse under the log. Most animals are not motivated by what's happening or might happen at more distant times or places. A big difference between humans and other animals is that we are interested in what happens at times and places far removed from the present scene. Now, this is obvious, and it's so obvious that we don't think about it, but it really is key to understanding how we tick. Humans spend a lot of time being highly motivated by events that are far outside the specious present, things they imagine happening in the future or remember from the past. So, let's say you're walking in the woods and you see a bear on the path ahead. You're instantly on alert. You stop, your norepinephrine levels go up, your heartbeat quickens, and your mind engages with the problem of avoiding a close encounter with the bear. So far you're acting just like any other animal who encounters a larger, dangerous animal. Here's another scenario. You're at work and you get an email announcing that your company is hiring a new CEO. So you Google his name and discover that the last 3 companies he's headed up were downsized between 40 and 70%. Instantly you're on alert. You stop what you're doing, your norepinephrine levels go up, your heartbeat quickens, and your mind grapples with the problem of being thrown onto the job market. But what's happened on the present scene? Almost nothing. You're safe in your cubicle. Your co-workers are quietly working. You got an email. But so what? You get dozens every day. At this point, you've revealed yourself to be profoundly unlike most other animals. What scared you was imagining yourself getting a pink slip, losing your job, your livelihood, being forced to venture out and look for another job. Not now, not today, not tomorrow, maybe next month at the earliest. Yet the prospect can be terrifying. That spurs you to action. You drag out your resume and update it. You go over your professional contacts, make some calls to find out what's going down at other companies, scan the job postings. You do things that will improve your chances if the axe does fall. Now, what just happened in terms of your self-model and the world model? You imagine something bad happening to yourself in the future, losing your job, and this engages your emotions, specifically fear. You fear that if you do nothing, you'll be unemployed, you won't be able to afford Starbucks anymore, you might end up homeless on the street. So you do something. That's what emotions are for, to motivate us. Imagining bad things or good things happening to us in the future affects us emotionally much as if those things were happening right now. It's obvious, but profoundly important, because this is what enabled our ancestors to make the transition from opportunistically chasing game and picking berries to settling into organized agrarian communities. Extending our self-models into the future was like developing a thermonuclear bomb in the evolutionary arms race.
It made one unimpressive primate species into the alpha species that transformed its entire planet.
What natural selection selects are traits that increase our evolutionary fitness, not ones that make us happy. The extended self model makes us worry, and it makes us work. Constant fretting about the future and working towards long-term goals gave humans a huge competitive edge and keeps us in a state of dissatisfaction. And although many good things have come out of that dissatisfaction, a lot of bad things have as well. Rampant inequality driven by greed, which now threatens to move us backward away from the goal of providing enough food for everyone on Earth. Economic disruptions that we've seen a lot of lately, caused by cheating, also driven by greed. War, often driven by fear. And a reckless disregard for the future of our children and grandchildren, which is driven by our obsession with our personal futures as we continue to stoke the atmosphere with carbon. Now, I want to draw your attention to one more obvious fact. Caring what happens to yourself in the future does not feel optional. It feels like it's rationally required in a way that caring what happens to other people does not. That feeling of compulsion is part of our evolutionary design. Here's a secret that natural selection wants to keep from you. Your relationship to yourself in the future is a lot like your relationships to other people. Nothing in nature corresponds to the great divide we imagine between ourselves and others. That divide is just a difference in emotional attitude. And emotional attitudes are something we can change once we understand them and decide they're inappropriate. We've come a long way in changing our attitudes towards different races and to smoking and sexual roles and orientations, but when it comes to the difference between self and other, we're still pretty unreconstructed. Can we change? Well, maybe. The biggest obstacle is failing to imagine an alternative. I've been investigating tools to stimulate the imagination to help us take that next step. It's a matter of curing ourselves of a persistent illusion, which I call the illusion of survival.